Welcome back, Mastercrafted Gaming fans. Kyle here to bring you a breakdown on the Uncharted Empires, Armies of Panathor, and 3rd Edition Kings of War. Okay guys, I am back from my vacation and here to talk to you about the Uncharted Empires book that is coming out later this year. This is the Armies of Panathor, and what it is essentially a collection of additional armies and factions that you can play in Kings of War 3rd Edition. If you remember from 2nd Edition, there was an Uncharted Empires book that got put out, and it was kind of a rushed effort, to say the least. So a lot of armies got thrown together very quickly. Maybe weren't the most balanced things in the world, and took the Clash of Kings packs to get them back in a line. In 3rd Edition for the Armies of Panathor and the Uncharted Empires, what we're doing is taking a little bit more time to put this together and do it right. So what that means is you're going to get some expanded background material, artwork, that sort of thing that we want to put a unique Mantic spin onto the factions that are going to be in this book. So what we'll do today is take a look at the master lists that are in the book as well as the theme lists. That way, if you play one of these current armies in 2nd Edition, you'll see how they're going to work on the whole for 3rd Edition. We're not going to do any unit previews just quite yet, just because I want to make sure that everything is in presentation form before we start showing those off, but this is going to at least give you a teaser on how things are going to look and how they're going to work for 3rd Edition in Uncharted Empires. In the Uncharted Empires book, there will be a total of 12 armies. 3 of these are going to be a master list. So very similar to what you see in the main rulebook. Their entire list is in one place, boom, there it is, and done. The additional 9 armies that are available are going to be theme lists. Now, this is a new concept for 3rd Edition, and what it essentially means is that there is going to be a master list that the theme list plays off of. And this will make a lot more sense when I break it down for you here shortly. But essentially what we're thinking is that from the theme list, we can create a bunch of new flavors of armies and playstyles that can open up. And eventually through different supplements and as the course of 3rd Edition rolls on, there will be an opportunity to introduce new theme lists and do so in a way that people can take an existing army and create a very unique and flavorful thing from it. So we took the Uncharted Empires list that were in 2nd Edition and decided that a lot of them already made sense for that. It already had a lot of the same builds, so why not break this down in a way that opens it up even more? So what you're going to see with the theme list is that they have a core selection of master list units. From here, you can select additional units that make the theme more unique. So you're going to have additional keywords and special rules that are available to these units that make the army list special. So for this video, we're going to break down the Varangur. One of the easiest examples that I can provide for how a theme list is going to work is going to be in the Varangur. With them, they essentially are going to use the Northern Alliance as their master list, and then all of the themed units come from the Varangur list. So there will be a selection of units that come from the main rulebook and the Northern Alliance list, and they maintain all of their exact rules and abilities that the Northern Alliance list does in the master list. So from there, you're going to have the ability to select specific Varangur units that go into it. And a lot of these units are crossed over from the 2nd Edition counterparts. So instead of, Direfang Riders, you've now got Frostfang Cavalry, which are essentially the exact same thing, but just a different name. So the change in name is going to be the absolute biggest thing. We want to do this obviously because we want to promote the sales of Mantic models and show that these things have direct counterparts in both army lists, and to cross-pollinate the different armies that you can play. So essentially with the theme list, if you play Northern Alliance, you've got the ability to flip-flop and go back and forth between them and Varangur very easily. Some of these forces are going to be entirely new takes on existing armies. So one of my absolute favorite, and one that I really can't wait to get started with, is the Order of the Green Lady. So it's essentially taking some units from the Brotherhood, some of the best stuff from the Brotherhood, and some of the best stuff from Forces of Nature, and combining them into one list. So if you take a look at Forces of Nature being the master list for this list, you've got access to some wonderful things like the Beast of Nature, great, hard roadblocks like the Elementals and things like that, but then also combining into some wonderful healing potential that you can put on top of the Order of the Green Ladies and the Brotherhood special abilities that are inside the list. So now you can take the hard-hitting cav along with these great regenerative and thematic lists that, if you want to put some water stuff together with what was in the lore in the background, because it's all been expanded out now, there's a really good way to do it. So in my opinion, you've got the ability to create some really, really cool stuff with these guys and still play a very similar style to what you had before, but now you've got even more options. So some of these new factions like the Abyssal Dwarf, Ratkin Slaves, and the free dwarf list for the dwarves, and then the Sylvankin for the elves. These are going to be really nice complements to existing factions, so that if you currently play one of those, you can expand into something new. So for the players out there that are enjoying those armies, this is a great way to do it. In my case, I'm a huge fan of the Night Stalkers, and if you know me from my earlier battle reports, I played a lot of Twilight Kin, so the Twilight Kin are getting a great branch off from the Elf Master list, where they can take a lot of those elf, elements that are in there, and then also expand into some Night Stalker stuff and some Abyssal stuff. So it's a really good way to sort of cross-pollinate and put a lot of stuff into one army, and it allows you to say, hey, I have one collection, now where can I go from here? Last up, we're going to look at the 3 master lists for the Uncharted Empires book. That's Kingdoms of Men, the Salamanders, and the Ratkin. And these are very unique, flavorful factions that really stand on their own as master lists. So Salamanders in particular, we've already produced some models for, and I think that's going to continue in the future. We'll see some additional sculpts and things coming from them, especially through the League of Infamy Kickstarter. If you've been paying attention, there's a lot of wonderful things that are coming from this thing that got funded within like an hour and a half of launching. So amazing Kings of War models that are coming down the pipeline from that. So please pay attention to it. If you haven't backed it already, there's probably a lot of really nice stuff coming, especially for these Uncharted Empires and expanded factions that we have in Panathor. Lots of really good stuff there. And then conversion kits an opportunity available for Kingdoms of Men and Ratkin, especially with the Veermen and Warpath and different things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to take some existing kits and build on them to make some, more Mantic, unique, and flavorful things. I think about where things were when Uncharted Empires dropped in 2nd edition Kings of War and how much it's grown since then. So there were a number of players that found the game because of this book, and I do believe that that's still going to be the case. We've put a ton of artwork and effort into lore and background material into this book so that these armies and factions feel like they actually have a place in the world of Panathor, and it's not just a quick accommodation to get you in and get you playing. There's really a home for that in these books, and even if you collect the main rulebook armies, you're going to want to know what themes you could possibly build out from there. And if you currently have one of these armies that you want, you're essentially going to find a wealth of new and updated rules for 3rd edition that I will be going over the previews for very soon. As soon as everything is ready, we're going to start those, and we're going to hit them hard and fast because that release is coming very quickly. So stay tuned. You'll see lots of good stuff coming in the following weeks, and I will put out a schedule. If there are certain factions that you want to see first, I guarantee it's going to be Kingdoms of Men, because everybody's been talking about Kingdoms of Men pretty much since like the 2nd week of the very first V3 previews. Those will be coming soon. So let me know what you'd like to see coming up, and we will get started with the previews very soon. Thanks, guys.